hit that 1500.
Yes.
Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan in the restricted section.
And today we thought we'd do like a tentative TBR for the 2017 Book Riot Read Harder Challenge.
Yes.
And we'll link the challenge below if you'd like to join us.
You should definitely join us. Yes.
We did the 2016 challenge and I thought it was fun.
I had a
enjoyed
good time.
it.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of things I wouldn't normally have read.
Samesies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're drinking
this Expedition Stout by Bell's.
Yes.
Which again hails from my home and native land.
Yeah. It's a Russian Imperial Stout. And this came on high recommendation from my boyfriend and also from Mr. Tim Stinson.
Yes, so thank
who
you.
Put it in his top beers of 2016. So.
All right. High praise.
Yeah.
Cheers. Let's give it a go.
It's very stout.
Mmm.
It is good though.
It is most certainly an Imperial.
Yeah, it's Imperial. I don't think it's that high.
10.5.
Oh, that's a little high.
It's about double.
It's a little high.
Right.
But it is delicious.
It is quite delicious.
I'm into it.
I dig it.
It's kind of got like a bitterness.
It does.
And a kind of a coffee flavor. But I like it.
I dig it.
Alright, so we're just going to go through each category. There's 24 challenges, I think, if it's the same as last year.
Yeah, there should be.
Yeah, and you can check, like, if you read a book that counts for more than, like, that would fit in more than one category, you can count it for more than one category, but
we try not to do that.
We choose not to just because we're overachievers. Yeah, we have a tentative TBR here, and for some things we would like suggestions from you guys if you have any.
Yeah.
Because we're not sure what to read for them.
Correct.
Alright, so
let's do this. The first challenge is read a book about sports.
And I have already owned the book Seabiscuit, An American Legend by Laura Hillenbrand. So that's the one I'm probably going to read, and it's, about Seabiscuit, the horse, horse racing.
Yeah.
That's a sport.
That's a thing. I'm going to read, I have a book that I got as a gift, and I haven't read it yet. It's 100 Things Red Wings Fans Should Know and Do Before They Die by Kevin Allen. About the Detroit Red Wings. I love the Detroit Red Wings. I'm from Michigan. I love hockey. So yeah, I want to check that book out.
And then the next category is to read a debut novel.
And for that challenge, I'm going to read The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison because I want to read more Toni Morrison.
And I have several, I'm sure I have a ton of books. This is a pretty easy challenge. I'm sure I probably have a lot that I could count for this. I will probably also read The Bluest Eye, but I also have Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk, which was his debut novel. It was the first novel he had published. I don't think it was the first novel he wrote. Also The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. That was his debut novel.
That was really good.
And then, I'm sure I have several others on my shelves.
Lots of them.
So that was a pretty easy one to fulfill.
The next challenge is read a book about books.
And I plan to read The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, which Megan read last year and loved. So
love it.
She let me borrow her copy, so.
Yes. And I was thinking, I didn't write it down because I'm not sure. I keep seeing like mixed things about this. But the fourth and final book in that series has already come out in Spanish. And then I've heard that it's going to be out in English this year, but then I've also heard that it's not going to be out in English until 2018. If that does come out in English this year, I want to read that for that challenge.
I had also written down The Professor and the Madman by, I want to say Simon Winchester, but I'm not sure if that's true because I forgot to write down the author. But I own that book already and it's been sitting on my shelf for years. And it's about like the making of the Oxford English Dictionary.
Okay.
So I had written that down too, but I think I am more excited about reading The Shadow of the Wind than that. So
that's probably more exciting than that book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, The Professor and the Madman involves like some crazy shit involved, apparently. So
who would have guessed?
Yeah. Anyway. Me next, right?
Yes.
The next challenge is to read a book set in Central or South America written by a Central or South American author. I plan to read, because I've tried to write down as many books that I already own as possible, and I own Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Oh.
Who, the book is set in Colombia, and the author is Colombian. So
Okay. Well, there you go.
you can borrow that if you want.
I may borrow that.
Or you could read 100 Years of Solitude by the same author.
Oh, I could.
I assume that's probably set in Central America.
I think Love in the Time of Cholera is Ted's favorite book from How I Met Your Mother.
Really?
I think.
That would make sense, because I'm pretty sure it's about a guy like pining after someone for years.
That would work.
Or is that what 100 Years of Solitude is about? I can't remember now.
I don't know. But I'm pretty sure Love in the Time of Cholera is Ted's favorite book.
Ted.
He's the worst.
He is.
All right.
He's the Ross of How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, he totally is the
For
Ross.
sure.
Okay, so read a book by an immigrant or with a central immigration narrative.
So I had written down, I own the book Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides, and I think maybe if one of you guys have read it, you can tell me if you think this would count as a book with a central immigration narrative, because I'm not sure if it counts or not. But if not, I'll probably read Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Adichie?
Yeah. That's how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to read The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. I bought it at the library sale and I want to read it.
The next challenge is to read an all-ages comic.
I do not have anything written down for this, so if any of you have any suggestions for me, I would love to hear them. My plan was, we have a comic book store that we frequent called the Comic Cave. I was just going to go in there and say, hey, guys,
Should I read?
tell me what I should
Yeah.
read.
I had tentatively written down Nimona by Noelle Stevenson, because I've heard a lot of people say that that's a great, it's a graphic novel, but I mean, that still counts as a comic, right? It started out as a webcomic, I believe.
Yeah, because I think graphic novels are just multiple issues of comics bound together.
Well, I think that this is, like, not that, I don't think.
Oh.
Well, I mean, maybe it's
I
like,
don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Someone tell me.
Help us.
I tentatively wrote that down, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
So again, if you guys have any suggestions for me, then I would be much obliged.
Yeah, much obliged. Next is read a book published between 1900 and 1950.
This is another one that's pretty easy, I think. Like, I have a lot of books that would probably fit for this. I wrote down Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I also have all of his short novels and Travels with Charlie.
Okay.
Which I assume they're probably all published within that time period.
Presumably.
Also The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. I have that on my shelf. Also The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, which I definitely am going to read this year.
Yes.
So chances are I'll count one of those for that challenge.
Nice. That would work.
Whichever one I read first.
I am going to do Dubliners by James Joyce.
Ooh, I also have that.
According to the copy I have, it was first published in the U.S. in 1916, so game on.
Game on.
Game on!
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I always forget.
I do too.
The next challenge is to read a travel memoir.
I'm going to read Stephen Fry in America by Stephen Fry because I love him so fucking much, and I thought it would be fun to read about him cavorting around America.
That does sound like a fun one. I wrote down Wild by Cheryl Strayed, which is about her hiking the Pacific Northwest Trail.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
And I've heard it's really good.
Yeah.
So I might try that one out.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun to me. Next is read a book you've read before.
So again, tons of options.
Lots of options.
I might reread Brave New World or 1984 because I read both of those in high school and it's been a while. I also might reread Alice's Adventures in Wonderland because I somewhat recently bought the annotated version of that, and so I thought I could read that.
Yeah.
Because I haven't read the annotated version. What else? There was something else I was thinking I might reread, but I can't remember what it was now. I don't know. Tons of books that I could reread.
That would be cool. I'm going to reread 1984 because it's been a few years since I've read it, and I always say it's my favorite book, so I might make it like an annual tradition to read it like every year in January, because that's
cool.
The month of my birth, so that'd be fun.
Yeah. Next is read a book that is set within 100 miles of your location.
I am going to read Winter's Bone, and it's by Daniel Woodrell.
Yes.
So I'm going to read that.
I am struggling with this one because I've already read Winter's Bone. I read it last year, and Daniel Woodrell's, most of his books are set in the Ozarks, which is where we live, but most of them are set in fictional towns.
Right.
So I can't really say whether that,
Right.
I mean, it's not a real place. So I know there's a book coming out this year that was actually, I just saw it on a couple people, Max from Well Done Books and Brittany from Under the Radar Books. I saw both of their videos on the Book of the Month Club unboxing, and one of the books was called Lucky You by Erica Carter, and it's set in the Ozarks.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if it's within 100 miles of Springfield because I know it's partially set in Fayetteville. I think it's in the Arkansas Ozarks.
Okay.
So I know it's partially set in Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is like barely over 100 miles from Springfield. It's like 120 miles from Springfield. So I'm like, fuck! But it also is partially set elsewhere because they go live in like a remote cabin, but I don't know where that is. So
Right. Where's the remote
I can't
cabin?
really say. I also wrote down The Shepherd of the Hills by Harold Bell Wright, which is like a classic of our area. I don't think, like, nobody else probably knows what this book is.
Probably not.
But like, it's set in the Branson area, which is definitely within 100 miles of Springfield. And it's like, there's like a whole Shepherd of the Hills
It's a thing.
amusement park thing in Branson. Like, everybody loves the Shepherd of the Hills, but the thing that makes me kind of reluctant to read it is that I know it has like heavily Christian themes, which is just like not my thing. But I don't know, it might be interesting to read like a classic of our area.
It might be interesting.
So I might read that, or I might just go to like a local bookshop and see, because they usually have a rack of like local books. The used bookstore that's right near my house, Half Price Books, they have like local stuff right when you walk in the door. There's like shelves of local things, and some of them are like nonfiction about the area.
Right.
So
you
know,
could read like
that
one of
would
those
count.
haunted.
Yeah, there's like ghost stories from Missouri or
Haunted
whatever.
Branson ones or whatever.
Yeah. So I'll figure something out, but nobody writes about the Ozarks, guys. Like,
There's nothing to write about here.
nobody
Except for
and
meth.
Yeah, like Winter's Bone is about meth, and that's
about it.
There's also going to be some show with Jason Bateman. They're making a show set in like Lake of the Ozarks that's also about meth. So
Welcome to the Ozarks, friends. Yeah.
we got lots of meth.
Lots of oh, and there's sirens outside, so
Yeah. You can always hear sirens in the background of my videos, like pretty often. But the reason is because I live right by a hospital.
I don't.
So it sounds like I live in the ghetto or something, but I actually just live by a hospital, so there are almost always ambulances.
I live ghetto adjacent. I don't live like my neighborhood is actually pretty nice. Like I live in a pretty decent neighborhood, but
Like 2 blocks over, it's rough.
yeah, I live ghetto adjacent, so there are sirens. Anyway, so read a book that is set more than 5,000 miles from your location.
I wrote down The Lost Queen of Egypt by Lucille Morrison, which is, of course, set in Egypt, which is like over 6,000 miles
It's a long way
from
away.
here.
It's far away.
I also have The Queue. The author, I don't remember at the moment because I didn't write it down, but The Queue is also set in Egypt, so
Nice.
yeah.
Perfect. I said A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers because it's in space.
In space. So way more than
Totes more than,
5,000.
yeah.
The next challenge is to read a fantasy novel.
For this, I said American Gods by Neil Gaiman because I just want to read that and I'm looking for an excuse to fit it into this challenge.
And I'm actually currently reading a fantasy novel, and I'm almost finished with it. It's taking me way longer to read than it should because it's only it's less than 200 pages long. But it's A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin.
Nice.
Yeah, so I should have that finished soon.
Next challenge is read a nonfiction book about technology.
This is one that I think we both would love your suggestions
Help
on.
us.
If you have read any good books that would fit in that category.
Yeah.
I wrote down The Filter Bubble, What the Internet is Hiding from You. I didn't write down the author, so oops.
Yeah.
But it's about how, when you're on the internet, it knows,
What you're
shows you
searching
ads
for.
of things that you like and stuff like that. And in a way that kind of limits what we see.
Right.
So I don't know. I thought maybe I might read that, but also I don't know. I looked at some of the reviews and some people said that it was kind of might have been a little bit of sensationalism, just trying to freak people out. And,
That makes sense. If people aren't already freaked out enough about the internet. I don't have anything written down for this, so yeah, I'm very open to suggestions.
Yes, we both are.
Yes.
Next challenge is to read a book about war.
I wrote down Cold Mountain by Charles Frazier because that's another book that I've really been wanting to read, and that is about the Civil War.
I again have I have several books on my shelf that would count for this. So I have A Town Like Alice by Neville Shute. I've always wanted to read more books by him because On the Beach is one of my favorites. That I might also reread that for that challenge because I haven't read that since the 8th grade.
I want to,
but I really loved that book when I read it. I also have Ghost Soldiers. Again, I didn't write down the author, my bad. But that's a nonfiction book about World War II. But don't quote me on that. And then I have The Red Badge of Courage, which is a classic war novel that I picked up at the last library sale. So, and I think I have other war novels.
most
on the shelves, so I'll find something for that one for show.
For show. The next one is read a YA or middle grade novel by an author who identifies as LGBTQ+.
And for this I wrote down, again I'm kind of open to suggestions on this one, but I wrote down If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo, which is about a transgender girl and the author is transgender as well.
Awesome.
So
That's pretty cool. I might read that too. I don't have anything written down for this because I am pretty far removed from YA and middle grade.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what's out there. So I'm open to suggestions and would love to hear it if you have a book that fits that category.
Next is read a book that has been banned or frequently challenged in your country.
I said Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I think I've read this, but I don't remember it. So
If you don't have a copy, borrow mine.
I have it. I own it. I just don't know if I can't remember if I've read it or not.
I will probably read Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, I believe is the author. I've had that book sitting on my shelf for years and still haven't read it, so that's probably the one I'll read.
The next one is read a classic by an author of color.
I plan to read Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin, which I picked up at a used bookstore a couple years ago, I think.
Nice.
And haven't read yet.
I was thinking about reading for this one something by Richard Wright.
Oh,
maybe Native Son.
Yeah, I have Native Son if you want to borrow it.
Yeah, I would definitely like to borrow that. So that's kind of what I was thinking for that.
The next challenge is to read a superhero comic with a female lead.
And I wrote down Miss Marvel. That's what my husband suggested.
Yeah, I actually wrote down the same because I had heard people say that that's a really great series.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I will read for that one. I've also heard that Squirrel Girl is really good.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and I think both of those might also be all ages. So we could read Squirrel Girl for one and Ms. Marvel for the other.
That would work. So the next one is read a book in which a character of color goes on a spiritual journey.
And these last few ones are by suggestions by, they had a few authors.
Yes.
Create some categories. And so this one's from Daniel Jose Older.
Yes.
Who I've never heard of.
Author of Salsa Nocturna, the Bone Street Rumba urban fantasy series, and YA novel Shadow Shaper.
There you go.
There you go.
But I'm probably going to read Siddhartha by Herman Hesse for this one. I'm kind of like iffy on it because I own it and I plan to read it anyway, but it's like it's by a white dude. But it is about a person of color. So I mean it counts, but it's like, I don't know. I always feel like, I guess they call them own voices books are always a better option, but
I feel like they're probably the better option, but Siddhartha's kind of a classic.
Yeah.
So I wrote down Breath, Eyes, Memory by Edwidge Danticat. This is a book about a girl who has to go back to, or she gets sent to New York and then has to go back to Haiti and kind of figure out all these secrets about her family and all that stuff.
Okay, the next challenge is from the author Sarah McLean, who wrote 10 best-selling historical romance novels.
Okay, good for her.
And her challenge is read an LGBTQ plus romance novel.
I have nothing written down for this because, again, I'm pretty removed from romance novels. So, very open to suggestions.
And I wrote down Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I already own that. I've heard some people say that it's not like heavy on the romance, but I think it's still like categorized as romance, so.
Okay. The next one is from Roxane Gay, best-selling author of Ahiti, An Untamed State, Bad Feminist, Marvel's World of Wakanda. Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome. And the forthcoming Hunger and Difficult Women. So this is a book published by a micropress, and again, I don't have anything written down. I'm not very well prepared.
I actually purchased my book for this one already. I decided to try to find a local micropress, and so I did some Googling, and I found a press here in Springfield called Pencil Box Press, and they only had 2 books available, and now they only have the one, because I saw that the other one is sold out. But the one I chose is Animal Tales. And it's a really cute book. I love the illustration of like, I think it's a rat wearing like a house coat or something.
Yeah.
And smoking a cigarette.
Like rats do. That's the thing that rats do.
This says, Animal Tales is a compendium of tributes, sometimes a salutation, sometimes an elegy. Contained herein are stories and essays and poems, marginalia and etchings, all done to honor our animal kin and to recognize the habit we have, for better or worse, of drawing them into our world, into our human ways of seeing the world. So, I thought that sounded really cool. I love animals, so
that's pretty
I'm
awesome.
sure I'll enjoy it. And also, their store is through Etsy. So I ordered this on Etsy, and then the owner, Jo Van Arkel, she emailed me and was like, hey, I see that you live in Springfield. I'll just come bring this to you and give you your shipping money back.
Which is awesome.
She brought it to my door and gave me like cash for my shipping that I paid. So that was
pretty
super cool. Yeah, and they had, I'll put their link down below as well or whoever you'll put.
I'll put their link down below.
Yeah,
I want to check them out anyway.
Yeah, we'll put the link to their shop down below if you want to. This, I think, right now is the only book that they have available. They do have another book, but it was sold out last I checked. But yeah, that's the one I'm going to read for that.
Awesome.
And you can totally borrow that to read too if you want.
I might just order it, because it's really cool that they did that, and I think it'd be cool to own it.
Yeah. The next challenge is from Celeste Ng, author of Everything I Never Told You, and the forthcoming Little Fires, almost said fries.
Little Fries.
Little Fires Everywhere, and this is read a collection of stories by a woman.
For this, I wrote down Warm Worlds and Otherwise by J.R. Tiptree Jr., because that's a pen name, it's a pseudonym, and J.R. Tiptree Jr. is actually a woman. But she used a male or kind of androgynous pseudonym.
And I am probably going to read Xenogenesis by Miriam Allen DeFord, which is a collection of sci-fi stories that I picked up at a used bookstore recently.
Very nice. Next is from, help me Cthulhu with this name, Ozma, I am so sorry, Zianat Khan. I am so sorry to you because I ruined your name. Author of the Essa Caddick Rachel Getty mystery series, including The Unquiet Dead, The Language of Secrets, and the forthcoming Among the Ruins. And that is read a collection of poetry in translation on a theme other than love.
So I would love your suggestions on this as well.
Same.
I tried to Google it and like couldn't find any like results for like lists for this or anything. And then what I ended up doing was going on Book Outlet because they have like a poetry section and they have it divided by like the country where it came from or the area of the world where it came from. And so I looked in there on there for some poetry and found a book, a collection called Canvas by Adam Zagajewski.
Yeah.
Who's Polish. It's translated from Polish. So that's an option. I also recently, I can't remember what it was called, but I was looking on there again yesterday or something, and there was a collection of poetry by Afghani women.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That I thought, that would be cooler than
that'd be really
this
cool.
one probably. And it was translated as well. So I might do that.
I didn't have anything written down for this because the book of poetry and translation that I'd like to read is by Pablo Neruda, which is all love poems.
That's probably why they specified on the theme other than love,
everyone would just read
everyone
Neruda.
would just read Pablo Neruda.
Yeah.
The last category is from Jacqueline Koyanagi, author of sci-fi novel Ascension, and her challenge is to read a book wherein all point of view characters are people of color.
And I said Homegoing by Jesse. I'm so bad at pronunciations.
I only know that because I've heard other people say it on BookTube.
Thanks, BookTube. That was a recommendation to me from Sue. So I'm going to read that.
And I, again, have a couple of like tentative things, but if you have suggestions, I'm open to those. But I own The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. So I might read that. It's about, I believe, an Indian family. And I think it's multiple POVs, but I'm not positive. And then I also wrote down like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel. So I might read either of those.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's our tentative TBR.
Yeah.
And like we said, if you guys have any suggestions,
I would love
for
to
any
hear
of these
them.
categories, we would love to hear them. And if you're participating in the Read Harder Challenge,
What are you reading?
Yeah, what are you reading? Let us know.
Let us know.
That's it.
That's it. So
our
this beer,
it's pretty delicious. I really like it.
tasty.
Expedition Stout.
I like Bell's though.
Yeah,
Bell's makes good beer.
It's pretty good. Michigan has a lot of good breweries, it seems.
Good things come from Michigan.
It
Exhibit
says,
A.
This Russian Imperial Stout thirsts for travel. A huge malt body is matched with a blend of complex chocolate, dark fruit, and roasted aromas. This beer is ready to be enjoyed now or sit perfectly content in your cellar until the next journey.
There will be links down below where you can find us elsewhere on social media.
If you have not subscribed yet, please do. We're
Do
getting
it.
so close to 1,500.
Yes.
And thanks everyone for watching.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.